Hi guys, I hope you're safe and I hope that you're well. As we settle into this new year of 2022, I just would like us at some point to take a reassessment with regards to the way that we cope with feeling stressed, worried and anxiousness. Because sometimes what happens is we just get into old ways of thinking that we're coping when actually all we're doing is suppressing those overwhelming feelings. And whilst we're trying to kind of fight them, ignore them, actually what happens is they just continue to build. And sometimes it can kind of just be like a wave that even though we're trying to hold it back and suppress it, it's just gathering and gathering because we can't stop it. So what we can do is we can learn to take control of those things in our life that we can, and that can be sometimes with our feelings, not all the time, because sometimes feelings such as grief and loss is so big and natural. But what we can do is we can take control of these little things in our life, and then that will allow us to kind of just make life a little easier in the everyday things. So I have 5 strategies. A couple of them are a little bit quirky, but you can't mock it till you've tried it. So let's get on with this week's video. So my first step is about trying to postpone your worry, also known as scheduling into your day, worry time. Now, this might sound really, really silly, but this is one of the most helpful ways of learning to try and take control of when we are having that internal chatter, that inner critic going off and kind of making these worst case scenarios in our mind, ruminating and just making things so much harder for us to then concentrate on our work, on maybe just kind of being present with friends or family. So having this time, scheduled worry time, now you might have that 5 times during the day. And that might be when you're brushing your teeth, it might be at breakfast, it might be at break time at school or uni or college or sixth form. And then after school, maybe when you're walking home, it might be certain times of the day. Now, as I said, to begin with, it might be as many times as 5 or more. But what we'd ideally like to be doing in the long run is reducing that, okay? So what I'm saying to you is I don't want you to think, oh, I'm just not going to worry about that. What I want you to do is a CBT technique. I want you to just allow yourself to worry about it later. So that thought comes into your mind, and all we're saying is, okay, and you might want to make a note of it on your phone, on a piece of paper. But what I'm asking you to do then is to allow it to just kind of flow out of your mind, because then when it comes to that set time, that is when you will think about it. Now, just to kind of give you a heads up, what will possibly happen is it will come to worry time and you will forget actually what you were worrying about. You will actually forget what you were worrying about. Or because it's gone a couple of hours since that time, you will kind of allow yourself to look back and think, oh yeah, that was that worry because that was that lesson. If it comes to worry time, if you're at home, then maybe try and take yourself outside your bedroom, just so then you're not in that normal place of ideally it being your safe place. And it's just having that time where you can allow yourself to think of those worries, allow that inner critic to just go off. And whether that is for a couple of minutes, for 5 minutes, it's just allowing yourself that permission to worry about it. So then we're not fighting it. My second strategy is about going for a mindful walk. Now, I am well aware that because it's winter, certainly here in the UK, it's cold, it's dark, it's miserable. However, even if you're not prepared to do that now in the winter, do please bear it in mind for the future, certainly during the summer. Because what's happening is not only is getting outside good for you, fresh air, a gentle walk is good for you, but also what we can do is I'd like you to have that mindful walk where instead of you focusing on inward with regards to your feelings and your thoughts, your emotions, I want you to kind of go outward and I want you to look around you, not on your phone. I want you to look around you, look up. Allow yourself to kind of, what can you hear? What can you see? What's annoying you right now? Because in that moment when we're looking around us, will allow us to just kind of escape our mind. And I'm not too sure if you've figured this out yet, and just because we're younger people, I always say we. At the age of 37, I don't feel like a 37-year-old, can I just say? But if we can just kind of allow us that time to escape, because as I was just about to say, it's extremely exhausting. And just because we're young doesn't mean that it's not tiring, or it doesn't mean that our problems were any less than any adults. Because actually what happens is that sometimes it's harder for us because we don't control as much as an adult. So yeah, try that second one, a mindful walk. My third step is about having a reality check. It is so important that we do this, because often what happens is we ruminate. That goes round and around in our head like a snowball. It starts off quite tiny, but if you keep rolling it and rolling it, wouldn't it be great if we had some snow in January, by the way? Oh, I'd love that. But like a snowball, you start it off a tiny snowball, you keep going, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the thing is, though, that is exactly what it is like with our thoughts, with that rumination, that just kind of going off in your mind. So the beauty with regards to this reality check is, I want you to identify what it is that you're worrying about, what it is that's stressing you out, what is it that's causing this anxiety. And then I want you to explore, what kind of evidence do you have for that? So we're going to fail a test that's coming up. You know, for some of you guys, you've got your mocks. Well, I'm going to fail this. I'm going to fail this exam, or I'm going to have a panic attack. I know it. I'm going to have a panic attack. Definitely having a panic attack. So the thing is, though, whilst we're ruminating and thinking about this, imagining this, we're going to be feeling it, which is almost going to bring on a panic attack. But what's happening is that we don't have any evidence for that. It could happen, but it isn't going to happen. So the beauty with having that reality check is actually, until you're in that moment, we can't do anything about it until you're in that moment. Now, actually, if it's kind of the build up to something, it's about having that reality check for you to kind of realise, is it a what if worry or is it a real worry? So that what if worry is kind of with your exam, for example. I feel like I'm waffling, by the way, but I've just got so much to say. But if it is that what if worry about failing an exam, do something about it. Do some revision. Allow yourself to go through some old school books where you can just kind of read. Don't have to be that intense in revision, but just do something about it. And if you can create an exam timetable, a revision timetable, if you can create a schedule where you do revision, then that's only going to help. And that's only going to help one person, and that's you. So yes, kind of allow yourself to have that reality check when it comes to those worries. And it's kind of allowing yourself, what evidence do I have for this? Is it a what if worry or a real worry? And kind of just allow yourself to then, as a kind of a grand finale to that, you know, if your friend was in that particular position, what advice would you give them? And then maybe what you could do, I'd like you to do, is actually give that advice to yourself. So yeah, try that one. So it's getting a bit quirky, okay, with this one, but my fourth strategy is, when you are in that moment of intense feeling of stress, anxiety, worry, for us to be able to snap out of it, not that that's possible, but for us to try and kind of get out of that moment. You will have seen in the movies when sometimes somebody slaps that person around the face. I'm not asking you to do that. However, what I am asking you to do is to go and wash your face with cold water. Okay, the colder the better. I need us to allow ourselves to just have that kind of fresh awakening of actually realising, am I helping myself in this particular moment? Possibly not. So that fresh water, that cold water, or even if it's kind of using a face wash or something like that, just allow yourself to kind of bring yourself out of that intense feelings of anxiousness, stress and worry. So yeah, it's quite a quick one, but yeah, don't mock it until you've tried it, that's for sure, because for me, that's one of my favourite ones. And my fifth and final strategy is about leaning into those feelings of anxiousness. So instead of trying to kind of back away from it and kind of like, I can't deal with this, lean into it. Because what I need us to do, certainly kind of at a younger age, is learn to understand it. Now, what's going off in your brain is that fight or flight, that survival kind of reaction. But don't forget, our brains, even though they're clever, they're not that clever, because even though it may feel as if we're in danger, it doesn't know the difference between kind of reality or kind of the perception. So what I need us to do is, instead of kind of trying to escape it, is learn to kind of embrace it. I don't know if I can say that word. I'm going to say that word. Because actually, the more we try and avoid something, then actually we're just telling our brain that it's right. And what I need us to do is, say for example, you've been to the shops and you've had a panic attack. I don't want that to be that you never go to that particular shop or go to the shops because you're fearful of having a panic attack. What I want you to do is, I want you to learn to expose yourself to it. Because we can't allow our anxious brain to think that that it's winning, because it's just going to stop us living our lives as good. So what I want us to do is, if you are somebody that's had a panic attack in a shop or in a particular place, is to revisit that place. And even if you can't go in, it might take you a few weeks, just spend some time outside the shop. It might be just going in and just having a look around the shop. Kind of these steps. It might be going in and it might be spending a little bit longer and maybe going and buying something. It's just these baby steps of exposing ourselves to those fearful situations in the past and allowing us to kind of really try and embrace and learn about these feelings of anxiousness, stress and worry. So yeah, embrace it, don't fight it. So there you have it. There's just some of the strategies that I have, kind of quite focused on CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, about trying to face it and not fly away from it. And let's just remind ourselves that, this pandemic, it's bringing up all sorts of feelings within us, even if we don't realise it ourselves. And that will be sensed from our family members, from our friends, from our teachers, from those that we're at school with. So let's just kind of embrace 2022. I don't think I was right there. I'm going to say that again. Let's just embrace, as we go into 2022, there you go, kind of with kindness, and let's just do the best that we can do, okay? Keep staying awesome. I'm here for you, and I look forward to doing a video next week. See you later, everybody.